Dr. Anderson, what role do medications play in sexual dysfunction for people with HD? And could we touch maybe on that and also medications to use to bring down hypersexuality? So on both sides, I'm sure it's the same treatment, maybe.
So really, it's not just for people with HD. The SSRI antidepressants can actually decrease sexual desire and sexual function. So you can have impaired ability to sustain an erection. You can have impaired ability to have an erection and then ejaculate. Women can have decreased sexual desire on these medicines also. So again, they're fantastic medicines. A lot of people take these antidepressants, Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro are some of the newer ones, but they can sometimes cause sexual dysfunction. So going back to my prior answer, if you've been on them for a while, maybe it's time to ask your doctor if you could lower the dose. Sometimes that will help if you're having sexual dysfunction from a medicine. Or could you try switching to a different antidepressant, maybe even switching to a different class of antidepressant? The SSRI, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, are the ones that tend to have the highest rate of impact on sexual function. The SNRIs sometimes don't have as much impact. And then there's one particular medicine called bupropion, which is Wellbutrin, that sometimes will help to boost sexual interest or to counteract the decreased sexual desire that you can see with some of these antidepressants. It doesn't always work, but it is one of the things we do in general psychiatry is to add a little bit of Wellbutrin to the other medicines that someone is taking. Again, good things to talk about with your doctor if you find that you've started a medicine and you've really noticed a change in your sexual desire since being on the medicine. So the flip side of that, too much sexual desire, right? Someone who has too much interest, maybe inappropriately or aggressively seeking out sexual contact with his or her partner. Sometimes we use the SSRIs for that reason. So we could put somebody on an SSRI antidepressant, maybe at a higher dose in the dosing range. And sometimes that will really help to decrease sexual desire. We could also add a low dose of an antipsychotic medicine if it's really, particularly if someone is being very aggressive with grabbing and touching, and it's obviously in a very sexual manner. Sometimes we will do that because it can make it very hard for someone to be at home if they're having those kind of actions. It can make it really hard to be in a facility, right, if they're acting out and demanding sexual interaction from any caregiver. So those are some of the strategies that we use.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to add, please, if this is happening to you, especially the hyposexuality and the maybe aggressive sexual stuff, please mention it to your Huntington's care team. I have heard way too many way too many families share this after the fact and share, yeah, we went through that too, and I had to lock myself in my room at night and I had to do this, or I had to push my loved one off, or all these different things, which just makes my heart break, because please let us know. This is not common. It's not something that every Huntington's patient has to deal with, experiences. But when it does, it can be really heartbreaking and really devastating. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. This is it, and we are not here to judge that. We are here to help you have a better quality of life. Everybody, the HD person and the care providers, the spouses, children, everybody. Please, if this is happening, please bring it up to us. I know it feels, maybe, I don't know, societal norm says we're not supposed to talk about it and keep that behind closed doors and all of that. But what I will tell you here is definitely let us know about some of these things so that we can be part of your team in helping problem solve the situation.
Thank you. Dr. Duffy, dating someone outside of the HD community is hard. I feel like I am cold and non-responsive to genuine effort. And I think I am protecting myself. But I also wonder if this could be a sign or a symptom of HD.
I think that's very human, right? I think it's very human to try to protect oneself. And the HD community is full of amazing HD warriors that don't have to explain anything, right? Don't have to explain HD or living with HD or being at risk for HD or being afraid of HD. They just understand, they just get it. And they're such an amazing, inviting, warm community. So by nature, that's where you fit, right? That's where you feel like you fit. And then you enter into the normal world, right? Call it, I do quote normal all the time. What is normal? You leave that community and you enter the other communities, and it's big and it's broad and it's vast. And it's people who are experiencing different walks of life. And all of a sudden your HD world gets a little lost behind, but it's so much a part of your identity. It's hard, right? And so I think you're just being human and protecting yourself and deflecting these genuine efforts of people being interested in you, to protect yourself. And maybe that's what you need in life right now. Or maybe, working on oneself, like we all need to do, to allow ourselves to be liked and loved, right? It's a hard thing, and we naturally protect ourselves from that. But people who come from HD families and who are at risk for HD, or are gene expanded, or have HD, can be loved just like anyone else, and loved deeply and deserve love. And allow other people to make decisions for themselves and don't make it for them. Meaning, don't say, I have a gene expansion, therefore you don't want to love me or be my significant other. Let someone else make that decision for themselves, right? Let them know you and get to know you. Let them get to know HD and what that means for you and your family and your community, and let them make the decision, right? So I get it. I get that you're protecting yourself. It's not a sign or symptom of HD. It's a sign of being a human and natural kind of coping around HD. But give yourself some grace and empower others to make decisions for themselves around this.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I will tell you that we have taken care of many of people that found love and found their person or one of their persons after getting diagnosis with Huntington's disease. So it
Yep.
happens all the time.
Yep.
And it can and will happen to you if you will open your heart and show people what your true heart is. You are not Huntington's disease. That is something you're living with, and we're all living with something.
And then Lisa, you're up. This is a dear friend of mine, and this question is just, it's been this, I'm interested to see what you have to say on this one. My son is now in need of a bath aid. We had a female bath aide that claimed my son was being inappropriate, and she never came back without any notice or saying anything. My son said this was not true. He needs a bath aid, and now he is without one. The agency was so unprofessional. The aide never wore a uniform. She would come in tight leggings and a low-cut top. Although with all of that, my son never typically, he doesn't lie about this stuff. He is brutally honest more than I want sometimes. Any suggestions on how I can work with the agencies to make sure I'm not in this position again? He has asked for an aide because he needs help. I don't want this to happen to other families. So what advice would you give when talking to agencies or a new aide?
First of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. A couple things. It sounds like maybe that agency wasn't working with you, wasn't meeting your needs. They were unprofessional. There was things that they weren't doing that you think are important, as in wear a uniform and some of those things, which again, everyone has to decide what they need. So that's how I would approach working with a different agency. One, you should not work with that agency because clearly they didn't meet your needs. And anyways, I would just let that be an experience you had in the past. Find a new agency, and I would sit down and talk to them about, this is what we need. This is what Huntington's is. This is what I expect. I would like caregivers to wear a uniform or to wear, I don't know, whatever. Detail out what your needs are, and then let the agency say, what they can and cannot provide to you and whether that's going to meet their needs. I would say you want to try to problem solve the situation before a situation happens. Not so much that you have to say, this female bath aide claimed that he made sexual advances towards her, and we don't know if that's true. But you can say he is a young man. He does have sexual impulses. We want to make sure that the caregiver feels comfortable, and we want to educate them about Huntington's disease. And of course, if there's any times that they feel uncomfortable for any reason, we want them to let us know or to let me know, and so that you can problem solve the situation and move forward. I'm not even sure you really need to say that he has, normal sexual impulses as a person. I think you can just say he has Huntington's disease, and this is what it looks like, and this is what his needs are. And can you help us with that? None of us know what happened, only the two of them. I think this was just a learning lesson in the sense of now what you need to share with the agency so that you can make sure that his needs are met, and that you get someone that's in there appropriate and educated and who has open communication. And maybe that person was uncomfortable, not because of something he did, but just because of something in their own personal experience. And they just used that as the catalyst or the excuse so that they didn't have to come back. I would say that person's behavior, that other caregiver's behavior, is a response based on an experience they had, not necessarily anything that your son did wrong or that you did wrong. But I would find an agency, most agencies are pretty professional and will work with you, and a good agency that will meet your needs will want to learn about Huntington's disease and how they can best meet your needs.
Thank you.
We had a patient at a facility, Lisa, with a similar experience, and we were able to figure out with the facility that the helper was uncomfortable because she interpreted Korea as trying to grab her. And again, this was somebody we've known for a long time. I know people can sometimes change with HD, but we didn't think that he had, and he of course said he didn't have an intent to grab her, but she interpreted the Korea form movements in his hands and arms as reaching out for her breasts when she was helping him. Some of it can just be education when someone is first with a patient, if they've never taken care of somebody with HD before.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a really great point. So unintended kind of movements. Yeah. And I will also add, when there's any question about caregiving in whatever setting, people set up cameras sometimes, right, to ensure safe monitoring, and whether that's in the living room, bedroom, or bathroom, to make sure that your loved one's getting appropriate caregiving, it is okay. I think it's important to disclose to caregivers if you have cameras, because I think that's the right thing to do. But that's a matter of kind of safety and monitoring too.